Morning all, welcome back to the channel. It is the following day and I've done my research to see where we're at. Didn't get back in here last night to continue the dismantling of this rear upright hub, whatever you want to call it. So it transpires that actually this is part of the drive shaft, and we did in fact take the hub off the drive shaft. It just so happens that this should be in there, and part of that drive shaft. So let's put this aside on the basis that we can come to the drive shafts later. So it would appear, rather more by luck than good judgment, that we have dismantled the hub, or at least the upright, from the drive shaft, but it still has the hub in it. Now, I've seen a couple of videos over the course of yesterday evening on YouTube which suggests that this inner ring here is the hub and the outer ring is part of the bushing, what's the right word? Race and bushing arrangement for the upright. So assuming there's no play whatsoever in that bearing, I think the only little crunchy noise I can hear is the shit I seem to have managed to drop into it whilst I've been faffing about yesterday with this item, scraping the rust away. So I think the thing to do is to get a socket on that and attempt to tap it through, and if that doesn't work, then we can always get the press out. But one guy basically that's perfect, look. Fits inside there on what I think is part of the hub, but there's a little bit of wriggle room, so it doesn't touch the actual upright. So we should, in theory, be able to give that a bit of a tap, see how it goes. If it doesn't work, we can get the press out. But I'm banging the hub onto the hub. So that's not going to work like that, is it? So how would it work? We'd have to support the upright, not the hub. Let's see if we can do that. Not easily, which is maybe why we need to go to using... Is there any distance there? No. We still haven't got the hub up in the air, so to speak. Could support that. No, I can't, because it's now tucked under the vise. So I think that's why we need to go one way or another. I think we need to set this up on the press. Either way, I'll pull it out, show you what I've got. I think I paid 100 quid for it second hand from a garage. So let's do that and see if that makes the job any easier. Okay, slight change of plan. We may well still need to get the press out, but it occurred to me, if I position the upright in the vise like that, then this now is completely free. So if I was to try and tap it now, it might come out. Doesn't appear to be any movement at all there. Or is there? No, don't think so. I think that might be moving slightly. Which begs the question, why have you bought a press if you're not going to use it, doesn't it? Let me just give it one more tap. Yeah, that's definitely moving now, because that, you won't be able to see, but that hole there is getting bigger. So it's coming out. Should we just persevere like that, because it would save a lot of faffing about. Till I wallop myself on the finger, then I wish I got the press out. Now I don't think that's moving now, so we've moved it as far as we can. Okay, onwards with the press, back to plan A. This Heath Robinson affair is pretty much what I'm going to try, I think. I've set this as high as I can. The carcass, well, you know what I mean, the casting is supported by the wooden blocks. I've brought the piston down just about now to meet the socket, which we know will fit through the middle. The gap between these two red steel, the RSJ bit really, is big enough for the what's the word, studs to fit through. So let's have a go. What's the worst that can happen? Oh, creaking. I think that's pushing the casting into the wood. Maybe need to swap the wood out for some steel. Yeah, just squashing the wood here, I think, aren't we? Will it stop though at some point and start pushing the bushing out? No, it's crushing the wood. Right, so let's release that. Take the pressure off. So that hasn't worked. So, let's get the wood out. Hasn't worked on that side at least. That seems to be in. No, it's pretty much mullered that one as well. So let me think. Guess we need to just get some pieces of steel to do what the wood was meant to do. Obviously, if that's back up, you can see those studs go through the hole. To me, like the whole thing's coming off now, but anyway, you can see the stud goes through the hole, so it needs to be up there though, so I can push it down. Right, pause, hold that thought, let me see if I can find a bit of steel. If it was at all possible to have a slightly more, let me just move you around a touch, a slightly more Heath Robinson affair than we had before, here we are. So hopefully now you can see that. I've taken the steel that I've got up to the workshop, to the factory, because that's where I figured I'd be doing some welding and it might be handy to have some spare steel. Anyway, I've managed to find a couple of steel bits of angle really. So hopefully that will just spread the load for the wood. Who knows? Right, let's give it a go. Well, something's moving. Oh, it's the wood again. Or is it? It's all I can do not to swear, but the smart money tells me, from a YouTube point of view, that's what I should be doing. Now it doesn't fit. Let's let the pressure. Oh, you're having a laugh. Right. Welcome to my world. Right, let's crank that back up before it disappears completely. Have that down. And we're coming. Right. So I think we've got it. I'm back on the, we know those two sockets are kind of half inside each other, so it should, we just get a hammer, because I think I can probably persuade these into a slightly better position while they're under a bit of tension, bit of tension. If that comes out like a doing, it's going to go halfway across the workshop, isn't it? In absolutely nowhere with the press, as you've seen. So I don't know whether there's a problem with the hydraulics on the press or whether the wood was causing a problem. But plan B is I'm going to heat up the heat up the hub in a hope that I can bang it out so it will back in the vise basically. Do you know what I'm saying? Am I making any sense? I've actually had this on for a moment or two already, and I think that the hub had definitely started to move. So because it's clamped very tightly in the vise, and this lug, which is basically for the brake caliper to attach to, stops the turning movement. So it's fairly solid in the vise, and I've given it a right old tweak up. So I'm hopeful. It's definitely moved a little bit. So let's see if we can't give this another wallop and hopefully make some more progress. Could be a slow process, let's see. Has that moved? Tiny bit of movement maybe. Tiny bit of movement. Let's keep going. I don't know whether there's no sign of corrosion on the inside of this surface here. So the inside, I guess, the sleeve of the, or is it a bearing? The bearing in the knuckle, the upright. So it makes you wonder what it is that's making it so hard and fast. Oh, that's nice. My fingers are freezing. Oh. Right, let's give it another go. Try this one. Oh, we're moving. Yes. Way! Way! Well, hopefully you can see that. Let me take it out. Wah! And finally, we're out. So somewhere in there, apparently, is a circlip which I can take out and then press out the bearing. Although to be fair, there was nothing wrong with the bearing. There was certainly no movement on it. Well, look at that. I'm over the moon with that. That's been a bit of a labour of love. So either we clean that or we press the bearing out. Not to mention this bushing that's got to come out. So we're getting there, but we're not there yet, are we? We've come this far, so I'm thinking it makes sense to take this circlip out, which is obviously very rusty. Hence the circlip pliers. I've moved you to a position where I hope you can see. I've got me, oh, that's come out easily enough. I've got me, that's just come out onto the edge. I've got my, if you put your thumb in there, Paul, that should stop it disappearing across the workshop or hit me in the eye. So you can see what I'm doing here. Maybe I should have gone a bit further with the pliers. See if I could have just lifted it straight out. It's a bit odd. It hasn't got a. They've got a hole. It hasn't got a hole in. It's got a kind of a slot or a tab in it. It's going to be a bugger to get out, no doubt. Right, I'm going to hold on to it. This side seems to be rusted in, is basically the problem. Oh, no, we're out. So there we are. To be fair, that would clean up on a wire wheel. And like that, which I think we can dispense with. Right. So, I think now, because that circlip's out, the bearing presses out that way. So, loath though I am to say it, I think we might have to go and give that hydraulic press another go. Having checked the hydraulic press, there are definitely some problems there. Don't think we're getting the pressure we need, so we'll save that for another day. So back to the vise. I've attached this, as so you can see. This is another large socket that goes into the bearing, but not all the way through. This is a steel bar that allows me to then hammer on the end while getting a bit of distance between my nose and the said piece. And I'm stood, as you can probably see the tips of my boots, I'm stood on a pair of caravan steps. So what can possibly go wrong? Right, let me give this a wallop. And that to me seems like it's done absolutely nothing. Having said that, there's now a little gap. I'm not sure you'll be able to see. I've got you in just the right place. There's a little gap under there, which suggests maybe we have moved a bit. Now bear in mind the bearing, which is the thing I'm walloping down onto with that, is going in the bin, it would seem now. So what arm can we do? We could crack the casing, but let's see. We haven't introduced any heat to this, of course, which might be the next step. But let's give it a few more wallops. Now, you see people on videos, don't you, doing this on the driveway. You can change your bearings without needing a press, without needing a puller. Not in North Yorkshire you can't, where it's been rusting for 25 years. Maybe you can in California, who knows. Right, I'd say that gap is definitely bigger. So we're making some progress. Let me see if I've got an even bigger socket. I do have an even bigger socket, I think. Not a lot in it, but there's enough to potentially allow me to bang on it from this side. Let's give that a go. I'm feeling more confident with the hammering. Has that made any difference? Well, there's a definite gap there, but I wouldn't say it's flying out, would you? Okay, let's keep going. It might just go all of a sudden, or we could introduce some heat and see if that makes the job easier. Chat amongst yourselves. I'm not sure how loud that Bunsen burner is. Bunsen burner? Blowtorch even. I mean, looking at the size of that bearing and the size of the casting, I might as well put a match against it for all the good this blowtorch is going to do, I think. But, you know, maybe it'll work, maybe it'll help. It certainly can't do any harm, can it? But I think this might go on for some time, because if you're going to heat it up, there isn't really any point unless you're going to get a significant amount of heat into it. So stopping now and walloping it would be pointless, which makes it rather dull for you. Might be worth heating the other side, because it's that ring, I suppose, that problem is, I think when you're spinning it round like this, you're not in one place long enough to make a major difference. And if you don't swing it round like this, then you're only heating one part. Right, everything is getting bashed about, is on the floor. It's time to regroup, I think, before I break that casting. So I'm going to catch my breath, tidy up. Walloping it has got me that far. So it has come out, and we're on the last bit. So I thought I'll turn it back on. You don't want to miss the highlight. What a nightmare that has been. So hopefully that last bit, get that good and tight. I did have another crack over at the press. Let me just pick up my various implements. You know, I mean, we're getting there, aren't we? That fits in there now. Let's just have another go. Have to get my caravan stairs back. Hopefully you can see all this. Oh, pardon for the scraping. Hopefully this is going to push it out the bottom. Of course it isn't. Come on. How on earth the edges of this casting haven't broke? Hey! Blimey, we're out. Oh, well, there you see. Well, probably walloping it against the vice. So, whether it needed replacing or not, it needs replacing now. But at least we've got the bloody thing out. So we're getting closer to one piece of cast iron casting. Got to get that bushing out. So I think we'll try that on the press. Doesn't look too bad in there, so quite what was holding it in place. Bit of rust. Success! I've had a clear up, tidy up. Just want to show you what we've got so far. So that is the leftover bearing, pretty much. And I think this bit was some sort of dust cover. Not sure, need to look that on the MX-5 parts. That's the circlip that we may or may not be using again when the new bearing comes. New bearing might come with one. The hub, which, to be fair, the actual surface seems fine. I'll give that a clean and a polish. That's going in the bin. This is the actual knuckle or upright itself. Again, we'll clean that bearing surface inside there. But the next job, I think, is to get this old bushing out, and then that upright will be just a bare casting. So if I bring you over here and position you in such a way that you can see what I'm faffing about at on the vise. I'll stop, you should stop wobbling about now. Right, so I'm thinking there's enough travel on the vise. Missed a bit of detritus. I'm thinking that there's enough travel, yes, plenty. So if we, as we have done before, let that, is that one big enough? Maybe this one? Yeah, I think without that rubber lip, which I'll cut off in a second, we could push the bearing into there using a smaller socket. So, is that small enough to go through? I think it might be. That's big enough to receive it. I think it is. Don't need those two. Let me grab a knife. Because I think what I've learned is it's easier if you cut, depending which side we're pushing from. Let's say we're pushing out this way, or pushing in this way. There's a fair bit of rubber, what's the word? Fair bit of rubber on this side. We can cut that off. We don't need to push it all the way through. Right, shall we try and do this while it's in the vise? Might make it easier. Okay, that's better. So if I can cut that off without cutting myself to bits. Although it's that cold in here and I've got so many pairs of gloves on, I'd be really unlucky to cut myself and go through the various layers. But it's not inconceivable, so be careful. Right, so you can see what I'm doing. It's basically trimming that away like that, so that we don't have to force it all the way through the casting. God, it's so dry and hard and old that it's proving tricky. Well then, I think you could probably ride bare arse to Bradford on this Stanley knife, which doesn't help. I've got thousands of blades. Do I ever use them and change them? Not very often. We're nearly there though, so let's persevere, which is why I never change them, because I think, well, I'm nearly there. Right. So as you can see there now, we're in. So that, I'm thinking we'll press that way, because we've got no lip on it. So if we're pressing it that way, we want it to go into this monster. This is going to be a nightmare, isn't it? Into that monster. See if I can get as close to the middle of the vise as possible. We're going to push it with, oh, would you credit it? Would you credit it? Right, let's start the job then with a smaller. That would at least get us some movement, wouldn't it? To at least get the job started. Let's see. Oh, it was a nightmare getting it to balance. Right, that's starting to push. My glove's stuck, and this is in the wrong place. So, usual state of affairs. Much juggling to be had. I think we want to be there, don't we? Or thereabouts. Start to wind. Oh, we're off. Right. So, even if all it does is make a start, don't want to get the socket stuck in there, which I've done before. Right, so that's definitely moved. That's good news. So we can offer that up. Yeah, and be confident there's room in there. It won't come all the way out. So now we need a thinner, shorter one for the job. Something tough. That would probably do it, I think. Yep. We're in, I think, with something like that. So we can now, because we've got the job started, it's easier to locate it. Get that on there. May actually help us hold it. Ooh. Nothing's ever easy, is it? Should take up golf. Golf? Now we're in. Come on, we're moving. Right. I think we're there. I think we're there. That was easy enough. Way! Never get it out of that socket now. Oh, we will, look. Right. Okay. Robert's your dad's brother. Put that blade away. And there we have a completely free casting. There is nothing attached to it, nothing bolted to it. Well, the only thing attached to it actually is 22 years of rust. So now that's the next job. But that, I think, once we've given it a lick of the wire wheel, will be fit for purpose. This, right, while we're here, let's see if we can't remove these studs. And in order to do that, I'm going to resort back to some of the old hub nuts, because it doesn't really matter if we wallop one of these to death. In fact, if I look in this bag, there's one that I've already walloped to death. Ah, there we are. Look. One that's already been walloped to death. It's just easier to clean things if we take the studs out, which are fairly easy to shift. There we go, one. And repeat that process 4 times. And it's easier then to clean the hub. I think what I'll do is I'll give them all a spin on the wire wheel, and then I may even treat them to a bath in the sonic cleaner, ultrasonic cleaner. Well, maybe I should do it the other way around so that the ultrasonic cleaner has a chance to get all the dirt and grime off before wire wheeling it. But we're pretty much here when you consider where we're at now, apart from having to order a new bearing, or pair of bearings, because we'll have to do the other side now, of course. Apart from ordering a new bearing, we are pretty much stripped down, so it's a case of cleaning everything before I can put it back together. And we can then make progress on the back end of this Exocet. So, 1 to go. You've watched this long. So the final stud, before we turn our attentions to the cleaning. Attentions? Not attentions. Sound German. Before we turn our attention to the cleaning. And we are there or thereabouts. Hub, ready for a clean. There'll be nothing wrong with that, I should say. I believe there's a race in there, but if that's smooth, and it is, I can't see there's any point in wrestling that race out to squeeze another one on when there doesn't appear to be anything with it. Splines look good in there. Even that mating surface doesn't look bad. Again, I'll clean out the inside of that and clean the outside. What a wrestle that was, but we got there in the end. I think what's interesting, and I'm about to turn the camera off and leave you in peace. I think what's interesting is, whenever I watch YouTube videos, people say, oh yes, I applied a bit of heat and off it came. Well, you've just seen what a nightmare that was to disassemble. I don't know if I'm doing it wrong or if it's the same for everyone. But it doesn't appear to be that way on YouTube. Anyway, let's tell the truth. Do it. What you see is what I get. So there we are. I'm about to start cleaning these parts. And I'm not going to bore you with an hour's worth of wire wooling. But I just wanted to show you how simple the setup is, really. This, I'll do a little bit. You can see the inside of this hub there, for example, is pretty grim. So I'll show you how it comes up on the wire wheel. But my weapon of choice when it comes to really bad corrosion is this. It is, however, lethal. I'll show you what I mean. So without further ado, let me put me safety goggles behind me specs, because I'm not wearing my contacts today, which was a bit foolish. Anyway, got double glazing now as a consequence. Turn this on. If you lose me, I'll turn it off again in a minute. Okay, so basically the wire wheel rather, tickles it. I mean, and it does leave it quite shiny and doesn't really take the top of the steel off. However, if I show you this bad boy, which is the alternative, or the alternative I found works really well. Let me just, again, you won't be able to hear anything, but I'm only going to do a tiny bit. So, goggles on, hands out of the way, watch this. Now, I realise I might be teaching you to suck eggs, so skip forward by all means. But what I'm really getting at is, what a good job, what looks like a crusty old hub actually comes up pretty well. And by the time that's sort of blasted WD and a wipe with a semi-oily rag, I would be more than happy to put that back on the car. It'll probably need a lick of paint because it'll rust if we don't, or some ACF 50, which works up to a point, but you get the idea. So I'm now going to spend an hour on all of these parts doing more of that, and I'll show you the end result. So there it is in all its glory. I've just tucked the hub in behind it. So as you can see, they come up, I'll move out a bit, they come up pretty well. Certainly well enough to reuse. Pop that in there so I don't lose it. That's now attached. Obviously we've got to press a new bearing in. Not sure you can see that, but the circlip's already in there, all cleaned up, ready to go. So 2 attachment points there, bush in the top, put in the same way I've put all the other bushes in, which you've seen on numerous occasions now. So, due to the fact that I am frozen to the core, I'm going to call it a day there. Pretty much the same thing to do on the other side and a couple of bearings to order. So tune in next time for more rear end Exocet work. Please click the like button, subscribe for more content of this nature. Join me again on the next one.